this old ass console was able to bring people closer together better than any social media app. Better than this. Better than, a phone. A device that's meant for communication. There we go. Yeah, so I've been waiting to talk about this for a long time. So let's just get into it. I mean, I love this console. Handheld, I guess. So much. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I love this handheld. It's probably my favorite handheld way to play my games. And growing up as a Nintendo guy for like my whole life. And to this day, it's still my favorite handheld, even more than like the Switch and stuff. And one of the first reasons, obviously the modding capability. The modding of the 3DS nowadays is like, it's so easy. It's so easy. Like, you could buy a 3DS with like no games that you own, get an SD card reader, as long as you have a computer, mod it, and then you can get all the games you ever wanted. Like modding your 3DS is probably the easiest way to go in terms of getting the most use. But you don't even have to if you don't want to. The base 3DS has so much charm and such a big game library that like it really doesn't even matter. You could probably just play the games you already have if you had it, and you'd be so satisfied. But anyways, I know this. I saw this one YouTube video by this guy. He went into massive detail of all the things you can do with a modded 3DS and all the really cool, useful applications. So I'll put a link to that. I think his name was Garrett Buffington, something like that. Cool YouTuber. Anyway, this 3DS is modded, right? And there's a little story behind it. You see, I'm kind of a grandpa when it comes to technology, especially tech I know nothing about, and like modding and hacking. And I knew I really wanted a modded 3DS, mainly so I could play games that I could never buy as a kid, and I just never got around to. So I was like, I need to mod this shit. But because I was too nervous and I didn't want to like end up breaking my 3DS, I knew one of my friends, he also had a 3DS. He was a super big fan of gaming and all that. I knew he would know how to do it. But the only problem is, I'll call this guy Casper. It will make sense in a bit. The only problem is that this guy is notorious for being impossible to get a hold of. Like, absolutely impossible. And at this point, like, I only saw him like once in 3 months. It was impossible to get this guy out. It was impossible to get him to like text you back. He was a classic ghost, right? So I remember I basically had to pre-order this shit. I messaged him like a month in advance before I ever got an SD card reader or like a bigger SD card to fit all the games I wanted, right? So I messaged him in a month in advance. He got back like a month later. And then we started talking. He was like, yeah, of course I can do that. And then we were just talking about like how far he could push my 3DS to get all the games that I wanted. And he was like, bro, don't even worry about it. Whatever you need, whatever you want, just send me a list of games you want. I'll put it all on. I was like, bet. So I made a list of maybe like, I want to say 60 games that I wanted. So many, like, I'm talking RPGs, platformers, action adventure games, like, the works, right? The works. I already have a pretty big 3DS collection, but like, these were just games that I always wanted, or I was like browsing through the 3DS library and I thought, yeah, this looks cool. So yeah, I sent him over the list, and then another month goes by and I'm actually able to get him to meet me in person to give him my 3DS, give him my SD card, and then I had to wait another month. I'm saying a month. I don't actually know if it was months, but it just felt like it. This whole process felt like it took half a year. I waited another month, and then we met up again around the same spot, and he gave it to me, bro. And I was actually awestruck. I remember the feeling. I opened up my 3DS, I turned it on, I looked at the home menu, I saw a folder, I opened it, and just bang, 50 games right there. I was like scrolling through them all, looking at the little images that pop up on the home screen when you're selecting a game. I was looking at them all, awestruck, absolutely awestruck. And the 3DS is so cool that like, it's not only 3DS games, you can get like GBA games, you can get like DLCs that aren't even available anymore because the eShop's down. It's so cool. So I was there, I was awestruck. And then I remember, man, like, yeah, I thanked him so much, like, what's the word? Presumably? Previously? I don't know. I thanked him a lot, right? I thanked him a lot. And I remember in that moment, one of the games that I never got around to getting was Mario Kart 7, right? And I remember asking him, like, because he brought his 3DS too, I was like, you trying to play? And he was like, bet. And we played like 5 rounds of Mario Kart. Just one, I think, was it 1-on-1? No, I think it was a Grand Prix. And yeah, it was just such a fun evening. It was so cool. Like, we were in a spot with our other friends. We were laughing, playing, getting competitive. Such a good memory, man. And that leads me to my second reason. Like, I have so many stories behind my 3DS, like experiences, because I love this thing so much. Basically, whenever I go out, like no matter what I'm doing, I'll just take it with me. Like, because you never know when you're just going to be bored. You have a couple spare minutes or like an hour, and you're waiting for something. I just whip this thing out and start playing it. So yeah. I think one story I remember is when I went to go meet one of my friends in uni. This was kind of recent. I was meeting them in uni, and he introduced me to like one of his uni friends. And because I was staying around for like 5 days, I remember this one point where I was just chilling, and his friend was there because he comes around like basically every day. I was just chilling after we went out for some food, and I remember I was bored, and they were just kind of talking solo, nothing crazy. And I was like, I just whipped out my 3DS, and then the guy that I met, and just to like paint a little picture, this guy was like black, at least 6 foot. I think he had waves. Actually, I never saw his hair because he had like a skull cap on. He was in like a full Nike Tech. Like basically, he was the last guy I ever thought would ever want to, like play or even know what a 3DS really was. And I whipped this out, and he looks at me, and he's like, "Oh, is that 3DS?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, I used to play these all the time when I was a kid." I was like, "Swear?" He was like, "Yeah, man, yeah." I was like, "All right, what was like your favorite game?" And before I can even speak, like he's right next to me, and he's eyeing up my catalog, and then he sees that I have Mario Kart 7, and he's like, "Yo, this game was like my game. Like I loved this game." And then he was like, "Yo, can we all play?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we were like taking it in turns, trying to like see who could come first in like the Grand Prix, like at 150cc. And like, it was such a fun memory. Again, like this random dude I just met, I felt so much more connected simply because I brought this 3DS. Like if I never brought the 3DS with me, I would have never gotten to know that about him. And he even told me that like he used to play it so much that he used to do time trials, and I can't remember which track, but on one of the tracks he holds like the world record. And he like showed me, and he showed me the username before like the username even popped up. Like he told me what it was, and I was actually like blown away. So yeah, that was a really cool memory. And I'd say another time would be like, I don't know, there was so many instances where me and my friends would be out and we're just chilling, and then we'd end up sitting somewhere just relaxing, and like everyone would be talking and whatever, and like after my social battery gets kind of low, I'll just whip this out. And because it's really unusual to see people playing a 3DS outside in like 2025, or I guess 2024 at the time, they just become so interested straight away, start asking questions, and then you just get to learn so much about a person, like whether they've played a 3DS or not, or even if they know what it is. There's always something that seems to just happen. Like I remember I was where was I going? I was going to Reading. No, I was coming back from Reading, going to Southampton, and I got a train, and then after the train I had to take a bus. So I was on the bus, and it was a double decker. So I was on the top, and guess what? I whipped my 3DS out. I start playing it, and I'm just on my own, chilling. And then this guy sat opposite me, like on the other side of the bus. He was like opposite me on the other row. He randomly asked me, yo, can you like press the buzzer for my stop? I was like, yeah, bet. And then I did. And then just before he got off, he started walking. Like he got up, started walking, and he looked back at me and was like, I rate the 3DS, And I was like, sir, thank you, man. And then he just got off. But like, yeah, man, 3DS is amazing. And that brings me on to my next point. I was on YouTube recently, and I saw this video by this guy called JD Coffee, and he makes like a lot of gaming, like little gaming talks about life stuff. And he had this one video that was on about how, I can't remember the whole point of the video, but he mentioned that at some point how he felt that social media had brought people a lot further apart and secluded than ever before, and it made people feel really, really lonely in their own spaces. And I couldn't agree more. But then he also brought up this one point, how like the gaming community, no matter what happens, is relatively a pretty close-knit group because of what, the hobbies that we like, and how our hobby allows us to interact with each other even when we're not directly next to each other. And there's a lot of other hobbies like that, but I feel like because gaming is so diverse in terms of what you can play, if it's competitive or not, if it's like co-op or not, whether you can play in person or like thousands of miles away from someone, it's just such an easy way to connect with someone. That was kind of his point. At least that's what I took from it. And then I couldn't agree more. And then after that, it made me think about the 3DS, because one of the really cool features about it is Street Pass. Now, with Street Pass, I'll give a little summary about it. You basically, if you have your 3DS on and you have it on you as you're walking out and you meet someone else who also has a 3DS that's turned on, your game data for certain games will be like shared, and you get to like see their Miis. You get a bunch of like little cool features that happen when each of your game data gets swapped. It's really cool, and to this day I don't really feel like there's another device that has that. And that device is so cool that I can't remember what year, but I think it was pretty recent, and I think it was in America. The 3DS community had these organized Street Pass meetups where people would come, share their Street Pass data, play games, probably trade. I don't know exactly what happened, but hearing that there was like a little real world event where people would meet up and just vibe and chill and talk about, something that they really loved was like so cool. And then it got me thinking, like, deep it. This is an old console at this point. This old ass console was able to bring people closer together better than any social media app. But better than this, better than, a phone, a device that's meant for communication. Think about that. People on Instagram, people on TikTok, when TikTok got like banned for a couple of days, people felt like their world was about to end. Like, deep that. They felt like their world was about to end. They felt so, they were thinking like, what am I going to do with my spare time now? Like, instead of being able to talk to people more or whatever, social media kind of just like, it's like isolated people from one another, because people are like way more interested in scrolling on reels and looking at comment sections than like talking. And like, I'm on social media. I have Instagram. I like to check my Instagram. But I realized that when I started to spend a little bit more time, even just outside with friends, or, even playing this and talking to my friends about it, because I have other friends that love games just like me, I always felt closer when we were doing stuff like that than, I don't know, on our phones or like texting on Instagram. So yeah, I think I'd encourage a lot of people to, one, if you don't already have a 3DS, go out, get one before they become really hard to get, because they're not getting made anymore. And secondly, if you already have a 3DS, take it out more, man. Like, I need more street passes. I need more street passes, bruv. I've got like 2 right now. I've got 2. And I've had this console since like 2020. I want to say 2020 or 2023. I don't remember. Like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I find that so cool. Like, I can't get over this street pass thing when I found out that there was events from this one device. Like, I've not heard anything like that happening from social media or even any other sort of gaming handheld console. So yeah, moral of the story, play more 3DS. That's it, really. Take it out more as well. And also just be present with people at the same time. Whether you play video games or like to draw, like to paint, yeah, man, like, connect with the people around you, because right now this really doesn't seem to help do that. Oh yeah, also I'm gonna be posting content a lot more frequently, because I'm putting together a proper schedule. And yeah, I like a lot of stuff. I like games, I like anime, I like talking about self-help. So yeah, etc, etc, etc. So if you want to see more stuff like that, stay tuned. And that's it. I forgot to say, I'm gonna start doing some song recommendations at the end of videos. So today's song, let's see, gonna recommend After Hours by Avinoir. 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 It's nice, slow R&B type shit. If you like people like Brent Fires, you'll love this guy. Alright, peace.